Welcome to Five Things Friday, UK edition. Simone, good morning.
Morning.
I keep telling you this. I've got to stop clapping. I just keep clapping every time. I'm like, hello, how are you? Welcome. Or maybe it's I'm a pastor in a previous life where I do a lot of praying. Anyway, it's Friday. We've got 5 stories. We've got short on time. We'll just get cracking straight away. I'm Alex. For those who don't know, I help businesses that sell to retailers maintain their retail thought leadership. I travel the world, go to over 15 conferences a year, and take those insights and bring them to my clients and your good selves. And my wonderful co-host, Simone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Simone, the co-founder and CEO of Need It For Tonight, also known as NIFT. I always say the easiest way to describe us is kind of like Deliveroo, but for quality fashion. So rapid and localized delivery.
Fantastic. So I'm going to start. We're coming up to London Fashion Week, and we've got a couple of stories. The first one is British Vogue, everyone's favorite fashion magazine, with their new editor in the US, by the way, creating a concept cafe with Nike. And so during the London Fashion Week, you can go in there, obviously get coffee, but they're doing mindful sessions. When I asked ChatGPT, it's like, they're doing free get air sessions. So go along and get some free air with them, but they'll be taking the cafe in some different concepts. Well, they'll have activations from Nike specifically. And, for those who've listened to my commentary on Nike has lost its relevance because they've gone for these old 90s campaign of big stars, and what they need is to create more relevance and more cultural relevance and being part of people's lives. And I think this is a nice way to sort of tip the toe back into coming into people's lives through things like meditation, yoga, and engagement. Yeah, I think if you can get down to it, I will put in the show notes where it is. It's open to everyone. Saturday starts on the 20th to the 21st. Yeah, I'll put the details. Oh, no, it's there. 7 Arndale Street, which is near Temple for those who are near Temple. Moving on to you.
Yes. So Tala is opening a new store in the Westfield. It was announced this week. Announced with a very cool video actually on Instagram of it looked like kidnapping. It's very fun. But this has come just months after they opened their first ever physical space in Carnaby. I think it's a very smart move, and it shows that they're not just testing bricks and mortars. They're really investing in it. Obviously, Westfield is really about reach. It's scale, it's high footfall, broad demographics. And I always find with the Westfield, it's shoppers who are really already in, I guess, discovery mode. But what I loved about their Carnaby store, they've done lots of things. They've done run clubs from there. There's always stuff going on there, and it's that what we've harped on about so many times is that the in-store experience really kind of gets shared, and it really becomes part of how the brand shows up online. And obviously when people are sharing the space, that then turns into new traffic, both in store and online. So yeah, I'm excited by that, and I won't be surprised if they have another couple opening next year as well, as they're smashing it.
Yeah, you like this brand?
Yeah, I do. So Grace Beverly, listening.
Because I remember when we did their diving range.
Yes, it was the scuba
range. That's it, right?
I like, they're super community driven. I love their marketing. Yeah, I like what they stand for. I think they've done very well at it. They always seem to really create a lot of buzz, which I love.
Okay, cool. Fantastic. Moving on. I'm going to talk about detergent, and what an interesting thing to talk about. But I think this is the power, this is where we are in the world right now. How do I sell my detergent to a new generation of shopper or consumer that doesn't particularly engage like the old world or like their parents used to? And it's everything that my fantastic co-host and I are saying in terms of make it relevant. And Dylon, the producers of fabric softener and detergent and dyes, has created an activation during London Fashion Week where they want you to come in with your pre-loved your most favorite item that maybe needs repair, maybe it needs a wash, maybe it needs to be brought back to life. And they've created this store where there's different types of activations in that store where you can just walk in and take part. But they've also got sections which I think I thought I had a picture of where you can actually repair stuff. So they've got a repair station. Is that here? No, that's there. So you can go in, have the different experiences, have the Instagram moment, but they do have a sort of rejuvenation station where you can stitch things together, and they'll have experts there it says that the embroidery and personalization station. So I think a fantastic example of, we all love circular, we all love sustainability. There is that one garment that maybe has a hole somewhere that can be fixed, but maybe we don't have the confidence in fixing it. And so get yourself down to the Dylon activation. Again, I'll put in the show notes the address and where you can find it. Sticking with me, my favorite, your favorite, Dua Lipa. Apple is having a bit of a tough time in selling iPhones to this new younger generation who doesn't just want to buy a slightly upgraded phone, and who also lives in this sort of nostalgic world where they prefer wired headphones. They like devices that are one-use devices such as the iPod. And so for this new generation, Apple has engaged with Dua Lipa. I think, who doesn't like Dua Lipa, right? And here they're showing how they shot the whole advert on the iPhone 17. And during Tim Cook, when he was talking, in the background, Addison Rae had a sort of hit in the summer where the song was about the nostalgic headphones that were wired, and they used it during the launch. So again, an interesting way of how one of the world's largest brands is trying to interact with this new generation, which is cool. And we will end with you.
Yeah, so we've really whizzed through today. I was reading an article in the Business of Fashion the other day, which I thought, this would be great to speak about on the podcast. And it really made me think as well. And it was all about how brands are now making their own TV shows. Now, not like ads or like influencer UGC, but it's proper scripted, story-driven shows, and not just for entertainment, but more in a long form way of connecting with customers. They used Vera Bradley as the example in the article. I think the campaign was called The Most Perfect Couple. And that really kind of tapped into this early 2000s nostalgia, which they were known for. But I think just what I found
She's in Coronation Street.
No, it's
Vera Bradley. I don't know who she is.
It's a brand.
I know who's Vera Bradley.
But I think you're thinking of, I know who Vera from Coronation Street that you're thinking. I
don't know. Who is Vera Bradley? Sorry. I was like, Simone's talking about Coronation Street. It's like, who are they?
Not Coronation Street, but yeah, no, it's a brand, and others have done it as well. Glossier have done it with this YouTube series. Skims have done it as well with, they're doing this more kind of campaign films. But what I liked is that brands are no longer just paying creators to make content about them. They're becoming the creatives themselves, and they are, because ad fatigue is real. Like, people are really tuning out of this kind of hard sell. They're skipping ads, even these UGC ads. Everybody kind of pivoted to UGC and that kind of 3-second talking. I've become sick of it. I've become sick of seeing it. But I think Gen Z, there it is. Gen Z grew up on obviously story-driven content, the TikTok point of views, YouTube series, creators, and that's how they consume. They don't want a product, they want to connect with humor or a voice. And I think if you're not able to do that, then they're not as interested. So yeah, I really like it. It also, just one last thing before I'm really rambling now, but we've got time, is it's kind of been, I've always thought of content, and it's kind of been drilled into a lot of people that, that thumb-stopping content, the quick hits, that 3-second. But actually, I think it's interesting looking at longer engagement, because I think there's a lot of power in this slow burn, because storytelling or ongoing series, whatever you want to call it, that creates consistency and it creates something that people will come back to, which ads don't do. If I get hit with a 30-second ad, I'm not going to go back to that. Yeah. But an episode, I would go back to. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I think we're going to see a really big shift in it. I'm very, very intrigued by it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what everything that you're saying is as always pretty spot on, because people don't want, and I remember Unilever CEO talking about this, disruption-based advertising that breaks the flow of how you're feeling. So if there is, an emotion that you can tap into, such as comedy, such as, and a lot of them tend to be on the happy side, but there are, I have seen ones that are, emotional, but you want that deeper connection. And I think that's what the new generation is probably more tapped into, how they feel. And so therefore I completely agree with you. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it'll be interesting to see if like retailer magazines and email newsletters will start then reading more in the future, like episode recaps, or rather than like product roundups. I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it too far, but it'll be interesting to see if like we see that shift there as well.
I'm going to be brutally honest here. I've had a lot of advertisers or sponsors say to me, do you have an email list? And I say, I don't believe in email lists. I don't believe people want, emails that come in and, or Substacks that are just more text. They want things brought to life to them, right? And so I agree with you. I think people are tired of the way that they've been given content. And we talk about the attention economy, and you're right. It's so funny when you said the 3-second hook, because that's what, TikTok has driven people to think about. What's my 3-second hook, as opposed to what's my story?
Right.
And I love that, as always. Great food for thought. Thank you for that. Well, you got any plans for the weekend? Are you going anywhere? Are you traveling the world?
I wish I was traveling the world. I've actually got my dad here this weekend, which is nice. He's coming down to the last minute. He's going to watch Arsenal on Sunday. Sorry for any of the
I presume he's an Arsenal fan.
He is, yeah.
Does that make you an Arsenal fan by proxy?
I'm not bothered. Not bothered.
As you can see, my finger on the pulse with fashion brands like Vera Bradley is the same as my football press. I know absolutely nothing about football. But anyway, on that bombshell, Simone, thank you so much. And until next week.
See you later, Alex. Until next week.